North Dakota Congressman and member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman Kelly Armstrong joins me. Good evening, sir. You're a lawyer. Mr. Pomerantz is sort of the architect of the New York case that's now at trial now in New York. He says he doesn't want to be part of your committee as it's political theater. Do you have any thoughts in response to that?
Well, I think the arrogant disinterest in which he treated the committee says a lot about the hubris of this entire thing. He wrote the book specifically because Cy Vance and then Alvin Bragg wouldn't prosecute the case. He legitimately wrote the book to force them to prosecute the case, walks into a hearing and says, I won't talk about anything, even those things that I wrote in my book. Because how convenient, the same attorney he pressured into prosecuting the case has now asked him not to testify in front of a House committee.
You know, it's interesting he said it doesn't make it political theater, but, you know, when you go through the list of cases, you look at this 35,000 feet, Bragg's a Democrat, he ran on Get Trump. Smith, who's a special counsel, he went after Republican Governor McDonnell in Virginia. We got reversed, that conviction after ruining his career, reversed unanimously. The Georgia DA is a Democrat, running as a Democrat. She gets awards from a Democratic organization. That's Fani Willis. You've got a Democratic organization in Colorado trying to keep Trump off the ballot. They got reversed unanimously, the Supreme Court. And you've got a Maine Secretary of State who's a Democrat trying to keep off the ballot. I mean, it's like the political theater, it's hard not to think that the political theater has been morphed into our judicial branch.
Go back even farther than that. I was on Judiciary during the Mueller investigation, and Andrew Weissman was a max donor to Hillary Clinton, yet didn't conflict out of being on the Mueller investigation. It's exactly right. And this case is what they call the zombie case. No new facts have come up since 2018. It's by any stretch of the imagination a misdemeanor, which the statute of limitations would have already told. The only way they end up with the 34 felony counts is by this novel idea of taking a felony election law crime and charging it in state court after the U.S. attorney failed to prosecute it and the FEC didn't prosecute it.
You know, he said he had a respect for the rule of law. The Congress has a right to subpoena and get testimony. He responded to the subpoena, good for him, but then he didn't want to talk about anything.
Yeah, but he didn't really respond. He came in and pled the Fifth to things he absolutely had no right to plead the Fifth to. He pled the Fifth to things that were in his book that he had actually written and made money on. And he did all of those things, and he did it with, like I said earlier, just an arrogant disinterest in the entire process. And I think that's one of the things that has frustrated me throughout this whole process. When we've interviewed people from Clapper to all of the different players, they just act like they're above and beyond being held accountable for anything they have said or done.
Speaking of Clapper, did he testify falsely under oath, do you think? I mean, do you have any problem with his testimony going back a little bit?
I have a lot of problem with their testimony. I think they were very, they're always very careful with their words, whether or not it actually gets to that point and whether or not this DOJ would actually even entertain the thought of prosecuting them as a second thing. I mean, we do this because we try and get the information. That's why I'm so glad we actually released the video, because the transcript doesn't really do justice to the complete disregard that Pomerantz had for the legislative, or for the actual participation in the deposition.
Congressman Kelly Armstrong, thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.